No, I'm not a writer.
Okay.
Something is about to break.
All right, everybody, quick correction. I said last week was 75. This is episode 75. Last week with Chris Mitchell, fantastic episode. Technically, though, episode 74. This one's 75. I'm losing track. I can't believe... First of all, guys, I'm excited. 74, 75, we've got a lot of episodes. This is great. So many wonderful people. Aren't people amazing? Wow. I am honored that this many amazing people would share their story with us. So thank you, incredible friends and amazing entertainers, for talking about the ups and downs of life in the business. It's a wild journey, but we're in it together. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is the About to Break podcast. Today on the show, we've got the new Bad Boys of Magic. They are kicking off their brand new Fringe show, and I sat down with them to talk about that and more. It's going to be a good one. A couple of shows I want to quickly mention. First of all, June 4th, I will be in Orlando, Florida at Wizards Magic Theater. That's going to be awesome. You can get tickets and info on the website, taylorhughes.com/live. I've heard about Wizards forever, had so many friends come through there. Eric Olson does a great job there, and I'm incredibly pumped to be performing there for my first time. So if you're in the Orlando area, please come hang out with us. Come say hey. That's going to be June 4th. June 26th is our next Low Bar Variety Hour. We've already got tons of great acts lined up for that, and are curating the most fantastic performers in LA and then asking them to come and do brand new material. It's been so fun. We've done 2 of these now, and I can't wait for the next one. I hope to see you there. And then on the 28th of June through July 1st, I will be back at the Magic Castle in Hollywood, performing with my very good friend, James Holguin. You know him in the magic world as Jimmy H. And looking forward to that. It's going to be great. But let's get into this, guys. Let's do it. Thank you to everyone who's helping produce the show on Patreon. If you want to become a producer for as little as $1 a month, you can help us make these episodes possible. And thank you again to everyone who's been dropping me little notes on Facebook and Instagram and through email on our contact page. Let me know what you think about the show. I really appreciate those thoughts. Putting together this podcast and sharing these stories of these incredible performers is quickly becoming my new favorite thing to do. So thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you for valuing these stories and valuing these performers. I hope that wherever you're at in your journey as an entertainer, as a performer, as an individual, an entrepreneur, that you're just encouraged by hearing other people who are in the same boat or maybe a little further down the road than you are right now. Thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you so much. Enjoy this episode with the new Bad Boys of Magic. Hey everybody, welcome to About to Break. I'm your host, Taylor Hughes, and I am sitting down right now in Los Angeles, California, with the new Bad Boys of Magic, Daniel Donohue and Eric Siegel. Welcome, gents.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for stressing the word new.
Yeah. We don't want to be confused with the old.
Right.
Yeah.
It is the new Bad Boys.
Absolutely.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you get some flack about the previous Bad Boys of Magic, or?
No, but we started a Facebook poll last year to see who people thought were the old Bad Boys of Magic.
You're right.
Yeah. Lord Voldemort won overwhelmingly. He was, He defeated Penn and Teller and Siegfried and Roy and whoever else was on the poll.
Wait,
I don't remember.
Siegfried and Roy were considered Bad Boys of Magic?
Look, there were a lot of options on the poll. There were,
The underlying, I think, message there is there has never been a bad boy. Or if there has ever been one, I guess
Stand aside, previous Bad Boys of Magic.
I mean, I guess Houdini was kind of a bad boy.
Yeah.
I heard a recording of Houdini's voice recently, and it kind of screwed every idea I ever had of him. Have you heard Houdini's voice?
No, but I know that he was raised in Wisconsin, and I know what people from Wisconsin sound like, and it's a terrible accent.
Yeah, like it just you think of Houdini and you feel like he's got to just be like this gravitas, this like, and it's like I'm Houdini.
Well, that is what I was expecting. That's like every 1920s announcer voice,
right?
And now Houdini will like hang upside down and escape in 30 seconds. Yeah, I feel like people like felt like they had to talk like that for some reason.
Yeah, see here, is this your currency?
Yeah,
remember,
I guess it's not the Houdini voice I imagine. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, so you guys are the new bad boys.
That's right.
All the other bad boys got to hit the road.
Yes.
They've come and gone.
Yeah.
We remain.
Yeah.
Did your Bad Boys Magic is your website though, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So because at first I was like, why are they the new Bad Boys? Maybe they went for Bad Boys of Magic and maybe that was like another kind of website or something. And they're like, no, the new Bad Boys.
No, the name New Bad Boys of Magic came first and then the website. And I'd love to tell you that we had to wrestle the domain name from someone away. But it was actually, we just settled on the domain name because it was shorter.
Yeah. It is kind of confusing. I like the word new being in there because, I mean, at first it was at least like an extra joke.
Right.
It's just the implication there have been others.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wonder sometimes if we should just get rid of the new. I was just thinking about this the other day because then it's like our Instagram handle is different than our like website, which is different.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And some people call us the New Bad Boys of Comedy. You can't get the name straight.
Wait, who made that mistake?
Well, at least I know Michael Rayner did, and then somebody else the other night.
I'm just glad that guy's referring to us at all.
Oh yeah, that's
dude.
true.
Yeah.
The show. So I did the show with you guys that Michael Rayner did, and that is one of my all-time favorite moments in life.
It's
Seeing
incredible.
Michael Rayner have a complete meltdown during your show.
Well, we were debating just the other day. I'm like, I think because at our show, he's like, all right, I just had a margarita, so I'm going to be a little loosey-goosey, which is so funny because he's a juggler. But then I was like, I told Dan the other day, I'm like, I think that was a bit because it was hilarious. Like, that was a hilarious thing to say. And Dan's like, no, we saw him. He drank a margarita.
Yeah, we were sitting at the table, and he's like, you wouldn't believe the day I had.
It was all true.
It's just like, I'm going to have a margarita. And then he has it, and then it was just glorious.
And then the reptile show. He'd been bumped that day for the reptile
for those
show.
Of you who weren't there, he had gotten a call. He was booked to do a show, and then he gets, like, the agent texts him and is like, shows off. They went with the reptile.
The reptile act. And even that, I was like, I'm sure that was a bit because that's so funny.
Yeah.
But apparently that was
No,
true.
he posted about it on Facebook.
Yeah.
Like it had just happened.
He like took out his phone and was like having the audience like read his text.
Yeah.
See, it's real. Oh my goodness.
Lesson learned. These are the hijinks you miss if you're not coming to see Dirty Tricks with the New Bad Boys of Magic
very true.
every month. Yeah.
Oh, I love that show. Is so fun. How long have you guys been running it now? Like 5, 6 months?
Since October.
Okay.
Yeah. We did a test show in October, and then we've done it every month since January. Yeah.
And how long have you been performing together?
It's going to be 2 years this summer. 2 years in July. Yeah.
Yeah.
How did this collision of two bad boys just out on their own found each other and formulated?
I mean, it's weird because in nature, two alphas rarely get along.
Right.
Yeah. It's a lot of chest thumping here. We met each other doing improv in Chicago. We're both from the suburbs of Chicago, and
Second City, or where were you guys doing improv?
yeah, we both started at Second
We were
City.
both in the Second City teen ensemble at different times, though.
Yeah,
'cause I'm a
yeah.
few years older than Daniel there.
And a gentleman that knew both of us found out that when we were doing improv, neither of us was doing magic. We had both long given up on magic.
Okay,
yeah.
but you had started. You both started doing magic young, or
Yes,
Very young,
Yeah. I was 5 years old when I have the very classic story of my parents bought me a magic set when I was 5.
Yeah.
And, I did it all throughout my teenage years and really tried to make a go of it as a children's party entertainer.
Oh, dude,
and
children's
hung that
parties.
up. Yeah.
I was doing Pharaoh shuffle since I was like 3 because my dad was obsessed and we had no choice. We had to.
Your dad was a magician?
Yeah.
Or just obsessed with Pharaoh Shuffle specifically?
No, he was a magician. I mean, he became like a part-time magician. He was never full-time.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I grew up in the heart of it. So that's why I like stopped as soon as I left home. I'm like, all right, well, I can forget about this forever. But then I got back into it.
Yeah, I had a miserable time with it. I kind of fell out of love with
Really?
it. Yeah, but then
Doing the like kids' birthday parties, is that what ruined you?
Yeah,
for it,
really. I mean, it wasn't even the kids, but it was I really have a tremendous amount of respect for anybody like you, Taylor, that can make a living out of doing gigs, because I just don't have the personality to like deal with marketing myself and people hiring me and not paying me the amount of money they agreed to pay me. And
you've had that happen as well.
I mean, and it's just, I realized I was not cut out for that life, and I gave up on it. And
I've had it happen. I'm holding up a 4. I'm going to say 3.
Okay.
I've had that happen 3 times that people didn't pay me the amount, and it was a bar mitzvah every single time.
Wow.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. What was their reason each time? I mean, was it that whole Nazi routine you do? I just wonder if that was related. Don't cut that out, Taylor.
I don't think it has anything to do with bar mitzvahs. It was just, ironically, it was the same type of gig every time. Yeah. The last one, though, it was the only time I ever booked. There's like these online, entertainers know this, but there's like Gig Salad and Gig Masters and that kind of stuff. And I had never booked a show through Gig Salad. And all of a sudden I get this inquiry and they wanted a quote. And I, talked to them back and forth. It's all through email. And then we agree on a price and I threw it out there and they went for it. And I was like, oh, wow, this is like a good gig. And I'm like, wow, this I didn't know, so I'm going to go do this gig. And I do a phone call with the client and it's all great. I get there, I do the show. I was supposed to do an hour, like strolling magic. And I did an hour strolling for like the kids. And then I stayed around for another hour and did strolling for the adults just because everyone was having fun. So I go up to the mom of the birthday guy and I'm like, all right, I'm going to head out. And she's like, well, the party's not over yet.
Oh my God.
She's like, the party's, 3 more hours. And I said, well, yes, but we had talked online and agreed that I'd come for an hour. I stayed for an extra hour, but I have this other engagement. I do need to head out. And she's like, well, I thought you were here for 5 hours. I would have never paid that for 1 hour. Turns out her son had done all the online stuff. And then she just did the phone call. She had no idea what they had agreed to pay me. And I learned a valuable lesson to,
Don't negotiate through
never go through.
Yeah.
Ask some questions. I wish that was a story that took place a long time ago, but that was like 2 years ago.
Well, you have
no
good for you
control
though.
over it.
I would have quit again. I would have quit magic for the 3rd time in my life. Or, yeah.
So you're doing the gigs and then you go, I don't want to do this anymore. You're just like,
yeah. I had a really bad one that it ended with.
Talk about it. Why is it so bad?
It was in high school. I got hired by a local family to do a charity dinner. There was a family that founded a charity for families that had lost their children fighting in the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Goodness.
And they rented,
story.
they rented out the this big racetrack banquet hall in my hometown, and it was like, they wanted strolling, and then they wanted like a show for the kids, and I was like, okay, fine. And strolling went okay. But then when it came time to do the show for the kids, I thought I was going to do it in another room or another area. They put me, imagine the temporary stage that you have in like a banquet hall, right?
Yeah.
Immediately adjacent to that on the floor, they set me up with the kids and said, okay, entertain them. We're going to do the program for the adults now. And I'm immediately adjacent to this. And I'm trying to start the show, and the mom who hired me starts passing out like pieces of paper and crayons to all the kids. And she's like, oh, while you're doing your little magic thing, they're going to be writing letters to veterans.
What?
I have no problem with letter writing to veterans, but I'm trying,
what?
So I'm like, okay, so I'm trying to do the show and no one's paying attention to me. And then the ceremony for the adults starts, and there's like a guy on stage, like on the lectern, saying this heartbreaking story about his son who got gunned down by insurgents.
And the kids are sitting right there?
And they don't know what's going on. So the mom came over and was like, part of the reason we hired you is to keep these kids quiet while this is going on. And like, so I packed up and left and quit magic for a number of years. Yeah.
Has this lady never heard of chloroform?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So
you were in the same room. Like there's no.
Just imagine a big banquet hall and a podium with a lectern on it, and I'm just next to it. There's no dividing wall. There's nothing. I'm just next to it, pulling a rabbit out of my hat while this father is breaking down about his deceased son.
Who thought this was a good idea?
Yeah. Wow.
And that was it. That was, you literally walked out. Like
I literally packed up my, as every magician who's listening to this knows, I slammed my suitcase shut. I was like, I am leaving. And, yeah.
After you collected all the sponge balls. You packed it all up.
Excuse me, I just need to pick up some of these here. Yeah. So I quit. And then And then years later, I met Eric, and this guy that we knew through improv found out that we both had a magic past and told us that. And we were both kind of like, oh, that's funny. And then years later, we had both moved to Los Angeles and we're having lunch. And I said, yeah, wouldn't it be funny if we did a magic show? Because we both used to do magic, and this was born. And,
so you guys moved to LA to do improv, or what brought you to LA originally?
Yeah, my degree from college is in television and film, so I moved out here for the industry. I moved here just a few months after I graduated.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I spent a few years in Chicago after graduating, but then eventually I'm like, ooh, this sketch comedy thing's going pretty well. Maybe I'll try and make money at it. And so I've been trying to be a writer in LA with moderate success. But it is, man, it's so fun now to be like performing again, because I'm getting back on stage again. And like, we are like checking off these little like check boxes of like accomplishments with our show, where like, if you move to LA and just try to be a writer or an actor, it's like, okay, nothing happens for a decade and then maybe like you overnight break out. But like, we're like hitting stepping stones with the magic, and so
the
it's
success
cool.
has come much faster.
Yes, much faster.
Like we're regularly performing for a paying audience instead of a bar full of 8 people that are
Who are
also
angry
performing improv. Or like,
themselves.
It's very different from.
Did we just break the table?
I don't think so, but why is
It's
this
not
wobbling
a very
so
sturdy
much?
table. It's okay. Yeah.
And you know what? This is my roommate got this table from like her boyfriend's mom, and she was so excited about it. Jen, if you're listening to this, she was so excited about it. And I'm like, but why were they getting rid of it? But she didn't even think about that. She's like, they're just getting a new table. That was so nice for them to give it to me. And I'm like, oh yeah, we'll see.
I thought, is this part of your seance act?
It's like a, okay, but it's going to sustain, right?
I'm gonna not
let's
lean on it.
Guys, hands on the hips.
Can you
Let's
imagine
be
Houdini
polite.
having to bust the seance for the reason that the table was broken? the table was shaking because it's a crappy table.
These charlatans.
I'll now do the amazing breaking table routine.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Houdini. And now. Where were we at? We were talking about, I was saying, you were talking about you guys are regularly performing.
Yeah,
You're doing a monthly show at 3 clubs.
That's right, yeah.
And what's great, I mean, it's so different. First of all, it's different to be doing a show, not being like an event performer where you're going to some other event, but people are coming to you and your show is the event.
Yeah.
Feels very different.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And your show, which if people haven't come and seen Dirty Tricks, they need to come out to it. It's freaking fantastic. It's so fun. The venue's so intimate and it's like so conducive to the type of show that you guys are putting on. But here's what I want to ask you is that giving up magic and then picking it back up, because I did this. I stopped doing magic for an entire year and then a year later went full time. That was my story with it. But picking it back up, it was like all of a sudden I didn't care about all the crap that we cared about growing up about like, what do other magicians think? And, I'd be always nervous around other people. There was just something freeing about like, I've already quit this before. What do I have to lose kind of thing?
Yeah.
Did you guys experience that having like come back to it?
I absolutely did. Yeah. I don't know. I can't speak for Eric, but there is a freedom to this that it's like, for the first time in my 20 plus year relationship with magic, I'm finally doing it on my own terms.
Yeah.
And that feels liberating. Yeah.
Yeah, without all this stress of like what you're supposed to do. Like when I saw you guys, the first time I saw you guys perform, I was like, oh my gosh, they're just not going by any of the rules and it's so much better. Yeah. You know what I mean? It really is.
Yeah,
if you like work on any like craft but like stay within that community of people doing it, then in many ways, without you realizing, you're being like locked into certain patterns and things that you're just like accepting without even thinking about it.
Right.
But yeah, for me to like get away from magic, just be doing sketch comedy in Chicago. Now when I return to it, it's like, oh, I have all these like tricks, like comedic tricks or like theatrical tricks and not like magic tricks that I can now bring to magic that no one else is doing, because most magicians have been magicians, the entire time. They didn't take a sabbatical. They didn't take, time off to do something else. So yeah, it feels fun to be doing something different
And it's important to have different influences on your craft and what you're creating because, let's just face it, most magicians don't create. Most magicians buy routines, perform someone else's routine.
True.
And then it seems a little schizophrenic because when they do the rope trick, they're Tabaret, and when they do this trick, they're, whoever came up with that routine. And when I watch your guys' show, I was going to ask you, because I don't think we've ever talked about you guys doing improv and all of that. Mm-hmm. But when I watch your guys' show, it's like, this is written like a sketch. And then they go, okay, now how do we come up with the trick? Like your show is, it just doesn't seem like a normal magic show where the trick is king. It's more the story and the fun that you're having with the audience and the humor.
Yeah.
And then the trick is like the cherry on the top as opposed to the other way around.
Agreed. Yeah, I think that's what we set out to do.
It's a combination of a few things. I think it's like the training we got in Chicago was all about how to create comedy from the way that like two characters or people relate to each other, you know, and that's the whole point of our show is we play two characters that are very much foils, you know, and somehow we stumble into the magic trick, which is a lot different from, you know, a lot of magicians, the trick is the centerpiece and it's look at how much smarter I am than you. I can do this and I can do that. And
right.
Us are, you know, we're complete idiots. So we just, the trick happens by accident.
Not us, the characters, us, the real people.
The trick always seems to happen by accident. And it's, so it's hopefully a somewhat unique take.
Just doing like sketch comedy is like, all right, it's like its own challenge, but it's like, all right, I have to like write something that's so funny that I entertain a room of people. And, you know, if you're able to do that and get good at that, then now it's like, man, not only are there jokes, but now there's magic too. Like it makes the fact that we're doing magic makes our audiences like warm up to us in such a way that like they just go crazy at the jokes. Whereas if we were just telling jokes, they wouldn't be as like enthralled by it, you know?
Yes. It's managing people's expectations.
Yeah.
You know, like you go do a corporate event, the worst thing they can do is, ladies and gentlemen, this guy is the funniest guy you're ever going to see. Get ready to laugh your ass off. Here he is, Mr. Chuckles.
He won't be as good as you think.
Right.
Now.
But if they introduce you as a magician and then you're funny, it's like, oh, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Or if they introduce you as a comedian and your magic is really strong.
Right.
It's like, oh, we didn't expect this, and now people feel like almost like we're getting twice for our money kind of thing.
Yeah. Either way, it's beyond what they're used to seeing.
Yeah, totally.
For people who haven't seen you guys perform, I'd love to hear you guys describe each other's character.
Oh, okay.
Total dork. Dan is just a loser in every way. No.
No, my character, Eric, my character.
Well, it is funny though. Our characters are like loosely based on who we are in certain ways, but there's also like a bit of both of us in both characters.
Yes,
but but just to like, you know, make it easy to follow, we have kind of just like put each other in these buckets. But Dan's character is like a Catholic school kid, except the difference is between Dan in real life and his character is his character has not like broken out of that yet. He still is 100% abstinent and like passionate about it and kind of loses his cool a lot.
My character is basically
Oh no, Dan, we're describing each other.
Okay,
Don't
sorry.
And I can say whatever I want. These are the rules of engagement. No, you can say whatever.
It's me in real life I did attend 13 years of Catholic school, and so the character I play on stage is me if that Catholic education had worked. Yeah. If it had,
quote unquote work.
Right. And so,
you're like the alibi friend. Like everyone had that friend who like, if that kid was going to be hanging out, the parents were like, oh, well, Bobby's there. He won't let anything bad happen.
And also the backstory of my character is that I'm a failed, struggling children's party magician. So,
but I think
like if I hadn't quit that,
exactly.
That's like my characters. If I had never quit magic and had been religious and
I don't think your character has fallen out of love with being a children's magician.
No, not at all. It's still something that my character is really trying to do. Eric's character
better be good. Dan.
He has hit rock bottom. If entertaining for kids is rock bottom for my character, he has hit rock bottom in another way, which is that he has turned to alcohol, drugs, Flandering.
Did you say flandering?
Flandering.
Oh, Phil Landering.
Like Flandering. What
Flanders,
Not Ned
that would
Flandering,
be
that would be- yeah.
Ned Flandering.
He possibly lives on the streets, but he'll tell you that he's a street magician.
Yeah.
I think that about sums up. He's got ideas. He's got ideas that he's really cool. That he's the next Chris Angel, maybe.
Yes, Chris Angel's the next me.
Yeah.
Wears Chris Angel shirts in an unironic way.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. My character is very proud to be wearing that shirt.
Yeah.
Well, I love when we did this. When you guys did our low bar show. And afterward, a couple of the guys were like, I wasn't sure when I saw the Chris Angel shirt. I was like, is this guy serious about the angel?
When Joel Ward did Dirty Tricks, after the show, he said the same thing because he really enjoyed the show. But he's like, I'll be honest, man, when I first showed up and you were wearing that shirt, I had no idea what to expect.
One of my favorite reactions we get is when people tell us the moment they realized that we were doing a bit or like, a trick,
and not
or
just
like,
truly wow, these people are weird.
Which means which is kind of like a trick in and of itself. Is like we like to see how far we can get into one of our performances before people start to realize we're playing this up and we're not really these people. And
Well, I think it's challenging in LA because you go to shows a lot in LA, whether they're improv shows or sketch shows or comedy or magic shows. Some people you can't tell. Is this person doing a bit, or are they really quirky, or are they just trying to do the LA thing of like I'm super quirky?
Yeah.
It's sometimes it's impossible to tell in LA because there is no answer. It is unknowable.
Especially if they've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
And then I don't even know who I am.
Yeah, they've L. Ron Hubbarded themselves. They can convince themselves to believe
speaking
anything.
of L. Ron Hubbard.
Oh, yeah. What a good transition, Taylor.
Wow. Way to bring it.
Well,
I've got to say this, and we'll cut this out if you don't want it. But literally, I asked before the podcast, and I never asked anyone this. 75 episodes, you're the first ones to get asked. I'm like, is there anything you don't want to talk about? And the first thing that Dan said was, should we not talk about the Scientology thing? And I was like, we got to talk about whatever the story.
Well, we can probably just say this. In Los Angeles, we saw a magician.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah.
And he was doing that classic thing of like doing like just the classics. Like there was nothing new about this routine. Could have been done 100 years ago.
Was he performing somewhere or?
This is where if this anecdote makes it to the final cut of this podcast, just like anybody who knows me that's listening, call me, make sure I'm okay, make sure I haven't disappeared. He was performing at the castle.
Okay.
And we just happened to be it was like one of those slow nights where we were just hanging out.
Yeah.
And we were walking past the parlor and they were like, "Hey, there's seats left for this parlor show if you want to catch it." And we looked
narrowing it down. He's in the parlor.
Yeah.
Well, I think, and then I was like, well, I don't know. Is it going to be good? Because that's what I say sometimes. But then the guy was standing right there. I didn't realize it. He's like, yeah, it's my show and it's going to be very good. And he said it the first thing that strikes me as strange is he was one of the happiest looking people I've ever seen, which is number one.
Weird in LA.
Which is great, but it's honestly usually a tip off that someone is in fact a Scientologist. I don't know why. They seem genuinely happy. Maybe I should look into it. I don't know. Guys, I'm confused.
Very uncomfortable. Is this because you're afraid of hurting magicians or you're afraid of Scientology?
I'm afraid of what power he wields. Because,
no way this guy's listening. I just don't think
you're going to end up in lockup.
Yeah, but it's going to somehow get back to him. Yeah.
I've already said, like, I'm not making a judgment on Scientology. Right. I'm just telling the story.
Oh, yeah.
So we get into the show.
And I Googled him before the show just to see, like, what are we getting into? And his official website bills himself as whatever his name is. I don't remember his name. Yeah. It's his name, and then his subtitle is Magician, Realtor, Scientologist.
Whoa!
Which I think is hilarious.
Which are like the three things no one ever wants to talk to.
Exactly.
It's like a trifecta of avoidance.
Yes. And why do you have that all on the same website? Like, why would you pitch? Why is it important that those three things together that people need to know that about you?
Right.
Yeah. I guess he didn't do the thing that everybody who's like creative and has their thing now has like their separate Instagram handles. Like if I were a musician, like I'd have Dan Donohue music, and he didn't separate them. They're all intertwined.
All on the way, and not like that sounds like a Twitter bio. Like I'm on a Twitter bio.
Agreed.
This is website,
But this is literally. Are they in sections?
There are separate pages dedicated to each, but this was just the homepage.
And who's going to go to that and be like, oh, yes, perfect. I've been looking for a magician, realtor, Scientologist for this thing.
Yeah.
Why would that be?
He ended up doing his act, kind of at the audience who was drunk, and, he was just kind of going through the motions. And
there was a generational issue. Like, he was an older guy. He was like perfectly fine and polished, but, completely not connecting with the audience,
Yeah.
Long story short, Eric and I now own a beautiful 2-bedroom in Burbank together. No, he didn't sell us a house, but that was our brush with Scientology.
Yeah. I think we'll be okay.
I think you'll be fine.
No one's coming after us.
I think you'll be fine.
And now I feel like we need to think of like a way dirtier story that really should be cut out of this.
You guys do so. I mean, you're the Bad Boys of Magic. Your show is called Dirty Tricks. You do some things that are a little edgier. I've heard rumor that they're a little too edgy for maybe some of the TV shows out there.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true. We have 2 television shows that prominently feature magicians have contacted us, and both times we've described our routines to them and shown them videos.
Not really heard back.
And
it's funny because like the last call we had with one of these people who reached out to us and said like she had seen some of our stuff online.
Both times we were reached out to, which is like a good.
That's a good sign. Yeah.
I feel like, at least we can hang our caps on that. Like,
but this last lady, she was specifically like, we like young, edgy acts, and we're like, great.
Like,
but then but then she's like, oh, you guys are actually edgy? No, you don't understand. By edgy, we mean like a nose piercing.
Well, having seen you perform numerous times, I would love to hear what it sounds like on the phone when you're describing your routine. So
well, it's a lot like this last phone call was like, okay, so tell us what you would do with the judges on the show. Like how would you?
We like to get the host involved.
Yeah,
exactly.
How would you incorporate them into the magic? And we were like, well, we would get one of them to lend us $20, and then we would make that $20 reappear inside a sealed condom wrapper. And they would open the wrapper, and their hands would be full of lube, and they would pull out, instead of a condom, it would be their $20 bill. And then we would reveal that the serial number of their $20 bill is actually written in bodily fluids on a stained pillow that's been on stage the whole time.
Yeah.
And then there's usually a moment of silence. And then...
Well, although our descriptions usually start just to not scare them away. It's like okay, so in magic, a lot of times people make a dollar bill disappear and appear somewhere else.
You've heard of a bill to lemon, right?
Yes.
And then they go, oh yeah, I saw a magician do that on a cruise ship. Well, yeah, keep going. What do you use instead of a lemon? An orange or a? Well, no,
because an orange would be edgy.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Oh yeah. Orange is the edgiest of the fruits.
It's the edgiest of the fruit kingdom. Yeah. Ironically, though, it has no edges.
I hope you're enjoying this episode of the About to Break podcast. 3 quick ways that you can help us out here at About to Break. The first one is to go on iTunes and leave us a review. If you enjoyed the program, please leave us a 5-star review. Big thank you to everyone who's already done that. If you haven't yet, please jump over to iTunes. You'll need your iTunes account information. But you can click on the podcast, leave us a 5-star review. Just leave us a 1 or 2 sentence little blurb there. Let people know what you like about it. That helps us out huge. Second way you can help us at About to Break is by becoming a producer. Our goal is to have 1,000 people giving at least $1 a month to help offset the cost of producing these shows. And it does take time. And it is a passion project. I will continue putting these out for free because I think it's a helpful conversation. But anything you can do to help us out by producing the show would be awesome. Go over to abouttobreakpodcast.com, click on Become a Producer, and see what that's all about. Last thing that you can do, and this one is also a real simple way of making a difference, is just sharing the podcast. All right, when you see it out there on social media, on Instagram and Facebook, go ahead and follow along and then share it with your friends. Let someone else know how much you liked it, because it sure does make a difference. All right, back to the program. Is there a moment when you're having this conversation on the phone where you're realizing this is not going to work and you still have to explain the rest of that?
All we can do is put it out there and hope for the best. But there is
I was doodling things on a piece of paper and pointing them to Dan. At a certain point, I'm like, we're not getting this.
But you know what? It's proof that what you guys are doing is unique.
Yeah.
And it's different and it stands out.
Yeah.
And
we feel good. We keep getting good feedback.
Yeah,
if it's not appropriate for TV, I guess that's fine.
Yeah.
I'd love to have a Vegas show. I feel like there we could do whatever the heck we want.
Exactly.
And let's be honest, everything on TV is it's never good. Even my favorite performers, I watched when they were on these shows. And it's they had to tone it down, and the judges were being obnoxious, and the audience was
change everything
stupid.
for TV. Yeah. And you go, I mean, even like Matt King, who's one of the best, probably the best comedy magician around.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Goes on Fool Us, and he's like, look, I could do something that's going to fool you, but it's not going to be good for TV.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do this other thing, which is still great, but you have to do what works for TV. And I don't know, man. I think we're almost there. I think we're almost at the point where people are going to catch up to where society is at when it comes to entertainment.
It's hard. So our new show that we're doing a new full-length show for the Hollywood Fringe Festival called Coke and Mirrors.
Yeah.
And
coming up in a couple weeks.
Yeah. It opens June 3rd, so don't miss it. And my father texted me to tell me, your mother found out your show is called Coke and Mirrors. She is not happy. She thinks it's going to hurt your job prospects. And, it's just
wow.
Whatever, yeah.
How popular do they think we are? It's going to hurt your job.
Yeah.
The head of NBC is like, oh, no.
Yeah, we were going to offer him a 8-year deal.
Exactly. To do just whatever he wanted, but now.
Yeah. So when you're talking to your folks on the phone, you're not telling them, oh, we're doing this new show. And then they just saw the Facebook video or something? Or
you know what I think it is? I think that they kind of know not to ask.
Yeah.
Because last summer, we did the Hollywood Fringe Festival last summer too. Yeah. And we have a full tape of that show, and I never showed it to them. And they were like, you got to show us the tape. We want to see the show you've been working on. I was like, maybe. And I think they got the message. It's not for mom and dad. But I don't know how she found out about it this time, except for maybe I'm friends with somebody she knows on Facebook, and they showed her, and
You're not friends with your parents on Facebook?
My parents mercifully do not have Facebook.
Mercifully. Great for you.
Great for me. Yeah.
I heard it as mercenarily.
No.
Aggressively no Facebook. The more and more shows I start doing in LA, I've always worked clean. I work corporate. That's that's how I pay my bills. But I'll produce shows and invite friends to it, and I don't police what people do. And my mom came to one of my shows and now since then goes, I saw you advertise this show. Is that a show I should come do? Because she brought some of her church friends to a show, and then one of my friends immediately opened up with a very descriptive joke, and she was just like, I love you, honey. Let me know if I should come.
Well, I'll tell you that the moral of that story is, you said that you're paying the bills by staying clean, and meanwhile over here we are spending a lot of money to produce our show and losing a lot money. And
Oh, make no qualms. I lose lots of money performing magic. It's interesting. So in the corporate world, which is how I pay the bills, the challenge with it is you're always tailoring the material for the audience, because it's not my audience. It's AT&T's audience, or it's whoever's audience, and I'm going to borrow that audience for the night, which means my stuff, when I go do those shows, it's 80% of what I want to do, but I don't get to really do my stuff because it's got to fit their vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think what you guys are doing is pretty incredible. And the fact that you're doing this monthly show and you got people coming out to it because you're developing your own audience, which most magicians I don't think ever do. And most magicians, I'll say it, most magicians who do gain an audience is just an audience of other magicians. It's not real people. Not that we're not real people as magicians, but I'm saying like, it seems like guys either make a living performing for a borrowed audience or they perform for magicians at conventions. And very few magicians have ever done what you guys are doing, trying to reach the general public with relevant, contemporary, powerful magic and with humor that's not just we're comedy because we made a joke, but it's really well written comedy. So
yeah, we've been lucky that we've created this monthly show that just regular people off the street want to come and buy a ticket to.
Yeah.
It's very strange. You're right. It is. I had never thought about it that way, but it is strange for a magic show.
I mean, most of these people aren't going to hire us to work at their corporation's
No,
event because they
whatever.
don't.
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't. Yeah, why are we doing this? No. I feel like, yeah, if we can develop a loyal fan base and people that actually follow us on these social media things, it'll help. Because we're again, like we said, like we moved out to LA to be a producer, or writer, or whatever, but like, we're not necessarily actively pursuing trying to be professional magicians. I think our end game is to be like, wow, these guys are just incredibly talented or funny or smart.
Right.
So we should hire them for these, maybe other jobs.
yeah, well, it is I mean, every show that you write, because you're doing original material, it's a showcase for your writing.
Yeah.
It's a showcase for your acting ability and your comedic timing and the magic stuff. So that's why you're doing it. It's
true.
Yeah.
And it's just fun.
Yeah.
It's just stinking fun.
It is good fun.
Do you guys have, in the 2 years that you've been working together, any horror stories of like bits that just went terribly wrong or audience
We had a
members that
recent
got away
show
from
that
you?
was just awful, and it wasn't our fault. I'd say out of all the shows we've ever done, we've only done 2 that I would consider bad.
Yeah.
And one of them, they were both maybe our fault, maybe the audience or the room's fault. Like a small house of people that didn't want to be there, or just an uncomfortable feeling in the room.
Okay. Was this a show you guys were putting on, or were you jumping?
No,
somewhere
these
else?
were
Okay.
both guests,
Okay.
like shows that we had been invited to. But I will say that, like, I think actually there was a third bad one. Now that I think about it, the one that we got kicked out of. But
I thought that's what you were.
What?
referring to.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
no.
You
yeah.
got kicked out of a show?
This was at UCB. Yeah, this is now infamy. It's now part of our act.
This
to,
is
like,
part of our
brag
lore.
about this.
Yeah. We did our act at UCB has like a process that they call
like a spank. Yeah.
Where like you do a 25-minute show, and then people from
Did they-
UCB see it.
Did
and
they pair you up where they were doing like 2 spanks in the one?
oh,
So it was like
yes.
back to
Oh,
back,
yes,
like
yeah.
an improv show and then your show? Or?
Yeah.
So what happened was I had submitted us to do this spank
Yeah.
because we were looking for a place to do this monthly show.
Right.
And we got the confirmation from UCB that they wanted us to do the spank after we had signed the contract with 3 clubs to do the monthly show there.
Okay.
And it was one of those situations where we preferred to do it at 3 clubs. We were going to
'cause you
do it
could
at 3 clubs.
Eventually make money. Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this was UCB Sunset, not UCB Franklin.
Yeah.
So no one's there, and people who are there
Right.
aren't really that interested.
But
Yeah.
I was kind of like, I take responsibility for saying this. I was like, let's not piss off UCB.
Right.
Let's just do the spank. We don't,
Let's not piss off UCB by just skipping the
by
show.
skipping the show.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
In
If we're
retrospect,
going to piss them off, we're going to do it in
yeah, the
person.
right way.
yeah, it would have pissed them off a lot less if we had not done the show. So we
What?
did.
What happened? I'm dying to hear this.
What
story.
happened is it was a perfect storm of a couple things. First, because we knew we were about to launch this 3 club show,
Yeah.
we didn't invite anyone to the spank.
And
That
the
was-
other
yeah.
spank was like a drag show, and no one in their audience like understood what we were doing to begin with at all.
It was too
Oh,
out there for
probably
them, yeah.
because they were just invited.
exactly.
to
They
see
just
a
wanted to
drag
see
show.
their
Yeah.
friends, and which is fine.
And here's magic.
But like weird comedy magic, and they're like,
Ooh, it's like
"Huh?
every corporate show.
weird conceptual character.
What am I
comedy,
here
yeah.
to see?"
I came to eat shrimp with my boss.
So that was probably problem number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2 was because we weren't taking it so seriously, we only did like 17 minutes of material instead of 25.
I forgot about
And
that.
several of the jokes that we wrote were at the expense of
Of UCB?
Of UCB
yeah.
Sunset specifically,
Yeah.
which, by the way, we had done a show. We had done a show there literally 2 weeks
in our
before.
defense, yeah.
And those jokes went over super well because everyone's like, "Yeah, this place does kind of suck."
Yeah.
It was like UCB students and things like that, or
The first time,
first show.
the first show was
a lot
like
of Chicago people.
Chicago,
It's
so they were like,
yeah.
"Yeah, we're performing here, but we don't care."
And then the straw that really broke the camel's back was that we were performing our signature routine, which for those of you that don't know is called the amazing disappearing fifth of rum, which is where we present a bottle of bottom shelf Bacardi 151 and we make it disappear by proving that it is indeed real rum and then chugging the entire thing on stage. And the way we prove that it's real is by handing out shots to the audience. And that was a big...
Apparently, we weren't supposed to do that.
It's a big no-no at UCB because they're all ages and they don't card anyone and they don't have a liquor license. And
You know what's so... Yeah.
yeah,
I've been to UCB shows where Herald teams pass out booze to the audience.
yeah. So it was the perfect storm of all these
But
things.
also,
that-
the other
yeah.
thing is that like the house manager, we'll say, was who got angry at us. Was she thought that we had really drank that bottle of rum?
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
because she came running up to us right after the trick and kind of accosted us and was like, "Was that real?"
While you were still performing?
no,
or
well,
was
we
it
were
the end of
cleaning
the
up
show?
and it was between the spanks, but the audience was sitting there and saw
There's
this.
an awkward intermission where the lights come up and everyone stays in their seats while they
Yeah,
get
okay.
the first spank cleared out and bring on the second one.
Oh, by the way, we've gotten cards everywhere, and she's like, "You have to clean this up now." We're like, "We were going."
Her
to.
words were, "You need to pick up your cards and leave immediately."
Which is great.
Yeah.
All the other bad boy magicians know what that's
You
like.
know what it's like.
But yeah, can you imagine someone running up to you, Taylor, after show and being like, "Was that real?" and I'm expected to explain whether it wasn't
Wasn't
trick or not.
Yeah, I was very taken aback.
So we
I
didn't
was-
answer that
I was just
question.
like, yeah,
Like, what do you want us to say?
Yeah.
No, of course it wasn't real, but they didn't want to let us drive home, so they thought it was real. They thought we were doing a freak show and not a magic show.
The her intern that she got to usher us out, asked us at the valet stand, "Wait, you guys are gonna drive home now?"
Yeah.
And we were like, "Yeah, it was a trick.
We
We're
had
not
no
actually-
booze
Yeah,
at
yeah.
all.
It's okay. Yes, I've had a couple of times when I've done shows for churches, like a family night or a community festival. I've had a couple of times where I've had someone come up to me before the show and be like, "You're a magician, huh? I can't believe you would come here and do that."
Oh my God, because it's like the dark
Yeah,
arts.
and what concerns me the most is what else does this person
Believe it's real.
that
Yeah.
they you know what I mean? Like they literally are like thinking that I tell people, like, look, listen. If the Dark Lord is so concerned about finding your lost card in this deck,
right.
we don't need to worry about it.
Yeah.
If I don't find the Queen of Hearts, my throne.
Satan has weird powers. He can make
Yeah.
he can make balls of sponge multiply. and-
He can link rings together, but that's about it. Yeah, just those three things, and that's it.
Tearing up newspapers.
That was probably our worst gig horror story. Although last year, the one that I was going to say is last year during the Fringe Festival, we used to do a mentalism routine, and without giving any methods away, let's just say that it was one of those routines where I was blindfolded and Eric was going up to members of the audience and asking them for objects, and then I would say that person's holding a pocket knife right now, and that person's holding, and let's just say the mental connection wasn't working when
We were supposed to do 3 objects,
Yeah.
and we did one, but then the second one didn't work. And then we did a third one, and then the fourth one didn't work. So I did the fourth one because, let's at least get 3 right.
Right, yeah,
so then
yeah.
we did a 5th one. So every other one worked.
Yeah.
But I don't think that was as bad as we remember it.
No,
Yeah.
no,
It was halfway
I'm
through a
sure the
show.
audience
People
had-
already
yeah.
liked us. But we've had 2 shows now in spaces that there just weren't that many people there. And we feed off of people's energy. And
Yeah.
it was no fault of our own, but people just were worried about the routine they were about to come up and do and not really into it. And so,
Yep.
and I feel like in those situations, if you're a pro, you just commit hard.
Yep.
Because some people might still be enjoying it, even if the room's dead silent, and they will see you give up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. Even if you have like one or two people, like, you know, we've all done shows where you've got like two people chatting off to the side. The worst thing you can do is bring it up. I mean, usually the audience will tell them to shut up.
Yeah.
But I've seen guys literally, I mean, you've got 90% of the audience is focused on you. And by addressing this person, now you've just shifted all the attention onto those people. And you
I feel like there's a time and place to be like super harsh and quick with like a heckler or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, if people aren't noticing it, then you shouldn't be noticing it. Yeah, if the majority of the audience doesn't notice it, you shouldn't.
By and large, we just haven't had to deal with it, though. We've been extraordinarily lucky and done.
Yeah, the best offense is a good defense. So if you do good work, it's less likely that people will be chatting.
Have you found, because I think and I don't know if this is as big of a deal as we think it is, but I feel like magicians always feel like comedians. Like straight comedians don't appreciate magicians, or like there's all the jokes about like, I don't know if you ever heard Patton Oswalt's.
Oh my God, it's the most classic bit.
Packed up
in a suitcase.
We love that bit. It's so we think that every time we like bend over to pick up like 52 cards that have been
thinking about it.
scattered
Yes,
across the stage.
we had our first like tech rehearsal for the new show yesterday, and we of course all our shows end with us making a giant mess on stage,
right?
And it really is the saddest thing as we put stuff into the little folding canvas cube, that I'll use to carry it back to my
Dan is
apartment
sweeping
later.
up the confetti, beer, and playing cards. But why do you bring up? We think about that all the time
because I feel like. Because of your experience having done improv and working in these other venues and quitting magic and then coming back to it, I feel like you guys will have a voice in different aspects of entertainment that most magicians wouldn't. Like I could see you going into a comedy club and doing your act and being highly accepted, where most, magic shows in a comedy club would be death. Because people would be like, why is this happening right now? We came here to see something else.
Comedians expect a certain like bar of like, be this funny. So even if you're a juggler, but you better be this funny. Or if you're a magician, you better be this funny.
Yeah. Well, and magicians, I think we could, people get away with doing like hack or like stock lines because they perform for people who don't see shows all the time.
True.
But if you go into a room of comedians that have been in shows every night for the last 6 years.
And heard every joke.
And heard everything. And you're doing someone else's line. You know what I mean? Like,
agreed, yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's huge opportunity with you guys in like these other avenues that most magicians couldn't step into.
We used to always tell people, when we were promoting the show last year, we would say, if you hate magic, then this is probably a good magic show for you to see. And if you like magic, then this is probably a great magic show for you to see. Yeah.
I think especially growing up in magic like I did, to the point of like getting sick of magic, I very much can understand if people who just like, oh, magic show, I don't want to see that. Yeah. And so very much we have crafted a show to go out of our way to immediately make people feel at ease with like, look, this is a comedy show, so if you hate magic, that's fine. And the magic is good, and you'll probably come along for the ride anyways. But we're not going to step out here and do the linking rings for an hour.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, the linking rings for an hour.
Can you imagine that?
I think I've seen that guy.
I was just trying to add up in my head how many hours of my life I've spent
watching
the linking ring grand total.
Yeah. No offense to the
and so you guys, Coke and Mirrors, it comes at how long is what's the running time of the show?
It's going to be about 45-minute show.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's
What theater are you guys at?
It's at 3 clubs, so the same place we do Dirty Tricks.
That's amazing.
It's a really cool venue if you've never been there. It's like this old school cabaret venue in the middle of Hollywood.
It's pretty rad. I feel like Sinatra going in there.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's
well, they shot a scene from Mad Men there. There's a scene from Swingers that took place there.
It's mostly a burlesque venue during the week, but we do magic there, and
Dan knows this because he's a stage puppy for one of the shows.
Yeah.
That's the guy who cleans up on his hands and knees all the dollars after.
Magic's not paying the bills. So, so the show is about 45 minutes long, and if you saw our show last year, it kind of builds on that in that it is a magic show. It has, 6 or 7 full magic routines in it, but it also will tell you a story. You'll get a beginning, a middle, and end of our backstory as characters. You'll get a conclusion and a climax, and hopefully you'll laugh a lot too.
Yeah, hopefully you'll climax when we do.
Yeah, it's a funny show. Yeah,
Time it out right.
Yeah.
yeah.
And our buddy Nick Paul is directing you guys.
That's right. Yeah.
How is that working? I mean, have you guys worked with a director before or with someone else speaking into?
Yeah, we had a director last year, except he was coming at things, which is probably what we needed more last year, from more of a theatrical side, helping. He didn't help with the tricks at all, just the interplay and the acting and the monologue.
Which was great at the time because he has a background in theater. He used to run his own theater company. He used to be a stage actor, and neither Eric nor myself is a actor by, training. We have a lot of improv and sketch experience, but we're not acting, And so he helped us discover our characters and really dig into the non-magic stuff a lot. But then,
having Nick Paul, though, is bringing now a whole new element, which is we're also not expert magicians yet. We're still in the way that I think you and Nick Paul are. We're you have been professionals at this for a long time. And immediately day one, Nick knew a couple, he just took the weakest points he's seen us perform. And if we've ever flashed or done something that seems strange because we were doing a magic move, he's cleaned up those spots in a way that's really great.
Yeah.
This, I feel like this is now more than ever, it's a really good magic show. We're going to fool people, even other magicians with a few of our things.
And Nick is, if you've never seen Nick work, Nick is a really gifted physical comedian, and he also has Second City training. He trained with the Second City Conservatory in Chicago when he lived there. So he's one of our favorite magicians, and when he offered to direct the show, we jumped at the opportunity.
It's so cool to be able to have somebody who understands both comedically and as a magician what you guys need, but can also bring, when you're working on routines and you're performing and you kind of get into this moment where you feel like, okay, we've got this down. Sometimes someone can come in and all of a sudden bring a different perspective. Or I mean, Nick's done that with me where he'd be like, have you ever thought about this? And I'm like, for 3 months I've been racking my brain about this, and I should have just asked, reached out or asked somebody or got a different perspective.
It's much needed sometimes. He's really the first magician that we've ever invited to put eyes on our magic.
Which is probably good.
Yeah, it's good. Oh,
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm glad we got as far as we did creating stuff on our own, but, the time was right.
Yeah. I'd love to ask you guys, I know we're getting ready to wrap here, but I'd love to ask you guys about the investment that you're making, obviously time commitment, but financially, and doing your monthly show. A lot of people will look at that. A lot of magicians will look at what you're doing and go, man, they're getting all these opportunities, and they're, how great that they're working all the time. And they don't see the work that goes into it, or how much of it is you creating the opportunities instead of waiting around for someone to be like, hey, we're going to make you a star.
Yeah.
What is it that is behind that, or that drives you guys to?
It is a lot of legwork on the side. It's a lot of it was emailing venues, trying to get them to let us to perform at their venue, and that's how we finally got the 3 clubs. And then once we had the show established, it was dedicating time to marketing it and designing graphics and editing videos. And it's just
it really is hard work and the talent combining. Yes, it takes a lot of legwork to pack the house, but then you also have to do a good show so you can come back. And if one of those two things isn't there, then it's not going to be a success. But there's this Mark Duplass, who he's not a magician, he's an actor, writer, producer, everything.
I was listening to him today on Pete Holmes' podcast.
Oh yeah, he's brilliant. And a couple of years ago, he did this. What's it called? The keynote speech at South by Southwest. And he gave this speech about how the cavalry is not coming. And he was using himself as an example, even at that time when I thought he was very successful, but he's no one's going to come at you and cast you in their thing. No one's going to ask you to write their thing. You just have to do it. And even when you think, okay, I made, in his case, all right, I made one feature. Now certainly people are going to come asking. No, still, it's you always just have to keep doing it yourself. Yeah. And by the time, if it looks like it's easy, it's certainly not,
Yeah. No, that's what drives me, just keep doing better things. And
eventually the opportunities will come, more and more and heavier and faster.
Yeah.
Also Tiffany Haddish, I love her. And like, she seems like an overnight success to everybody.
Right.
But she's like, oh my God, I've been working for years at this before anyone knew who I was. She was sleeping out of her car for time. I really want to read her book. But yeah, like, it takes so much effort to get to the point where it looks effortless.
Oh yeah. I was just talking to a buddy. Who are we? What band came on the radio? I think it was that band Fun. It was like the Bleachers guitar players, the Bleachers singer. Anyway, I'm not going to talk anymore. Remember when I said I'd edit things out to make us sound smart?
That
It's one of those moments. Okay.
Also, I've been doing a lot of uhs and ums. Please cut every single one of
All
those
of
out.
those.
I think I've hit like the 1,000.
Also, I didn't want to correct you, but I believe the band's name is Fun, period.
Damn it.
What? Is that true?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's how they write it.
All right.
It's fun
not-
with it.
not-
Dan, for the man who said Flandersian before.
I think it's the only. All right, so I was listening to Fun, period.
Yeah.
Not a good name for a band. But might be an inspiration for a new Bad Boys of Magic.
That's true. Very true.
But I think it was like in 2013 or 2014, they won like New Artist of the Year. And in their acceptance speech, they're like, great, it only took us 15 years to become the new artist of the year.
Yeah.
I think, a lot of people, they think somehow by just, well, I have a Twitter, so someone's going to find me, as opposed to, no one asked me to do a podcast. I just started a podcast.
Yeah.
Exactly. And hopefully that leads to the next thing and the next thing. And
The good thing, and you kind of alluded to this earlier, is that the timeline seems to be moving faster with magic
than with
any
other
other creative outlet I've ever had.
Because it is more niche. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, there are what, 1 million people in LA trying to be an actor?
Right.
Right? That's not even an
And in
exaggeration.
comedy now, too. I mean,
Exactly. Comedy's its own industry.
The last 5-10 years with stand-up, it's like everybody wants to do stand-up. And
and improv in the last 10 years, like, oh wow, I'll make a career doing improv. It's like, well, no, you won't.
No one's ever made a career.
You're just now even in an even bigger pool of trying to do whatever you realize you need to do, and now doing comedy and magic, and as a duo, we're even offsetting ourselves a little bit more than
Making ourselves stand out more.
Even than just magic, which is already so.
That's so cool, man. I'm excited for you guys.
No, thank you.
I can't wait for the Fringe show. Give us another pitch for the Fringe. It's coming up June 3rd, 10th, and 17th. Is that right?
Coke and Mirrors plays June 3rd, June 10th, June 17th. It's the never before told story of our rise and fall from Las Vegas headliners to Los Angeles children's entertainers.
It will be the funniest magic show you have ever seen, hands down, absolutely. Except for maybe Piff the Magic Dragon. But aside from that, this will be the funniest magic show you've ever seen. I can guarantee that. And if you come to see our show and you disagree, find me, reach out. I will refund your ticket.
Oh, and you can drink during the show.
Oh.
There's a full bar service during the show.
That's a good call.
So,
and it's cheap. Great. This show does not cost much money. $10?
Tickets are $10. Yeah.
And they get the tickets on your website, or is
there's a big button on our website to take you to where you have to buy the tickets. You have to buy them directly through the Fringe website. But just go to our website, which is badboysmagic.com. There's a giant red button on the front page that says buy tickets for Coke and Mirrors. And there you go.
Awesome. If you guys are listening right now, click on the wonderful photo that we have of the gents there. Picture will flip around. There will be links to all of those things, and I'll put a direct link right there so people can click and go right away and get tickets before it sells out. So
Great.
Thank you guys for doing this.
Thank you for having us,
Thanks,
Taylor.
Taylor. You're the best.
Oh, you guys.
We love you.